Welcome to the BMC Remedyforce Summer 16 Early Access Program. My name is John Fulton and I'm one of the product managers for BMC Remedyforce. This webcast will walk through a live demonstration of the Agentless discovery setup. Please be aware that what we're showing you today is covering future product, which is under NDA, and also our safe harbor statement applies. Okay, so let's walk through a demonstration of how to set up Agentless Discovery. The first step is to go to Remedyforce Administration and select Configure CMDB 2.0. Please note you must be on version CMDB 2.0. If you're on version CMDB 1.0, you must upgrade to consider any asset management and/or discovery and client management enhancements. So we're going to go ahead and click on CMDB 2.0 and select Discovery Setup and Configuration. And the first step is to simply select Enable BMC Remedyforce Discovery, and you'll see the text below is enabled. There are two remote sites that need to be set up. The first one is to access the provisioning server that will enable you to receive the Discovery server, this button below here. So first, just click on the Here link to create the first remote site. Okay, and you receive the message to confirm the success of creating that remote site. And all you need to do is select Request Discovery Server, and you'll get the animated icon that say the request is in progress. This screen will refresh. As you can see, just within a few seconds, you get the message Discovery Server is created successfully. So now you have a Discovery Server that's hosted in the BMC cloud, connected to your org to manage the discovery data that will be passed from your on-site network to the cloud and eventually to the Remedyforce CMDB. So the next step, once we receive this message and the screen has refreshed, you'll see there is another remote site that needs to be created. We are updating the text to make this a little bit more intuitive, but for now, just please note that there's a second remote site. Click the Here link again to create that second remote site. This will be to connect to the Discovery server that we've just provisioned to you. You'll notice as the screen refreshed that there is a new section for license details. These fields are currently blank. We are in the process of addressing this, but for the EAP program and testing, what you'll need to do is just simply close that window and go back into Discovery Setup and Configuration, and you will see that the fields have been populated. The license type will be BMC Remedyforce base license with Agentless Discovery. It will be active, and the total number of entitlements for the agent/scanner will be 30. 0 have been used and 30 are available. If you want more detail on the scanner and why we have the scanner and how we came up with the number 30, please watch the other webcasts that provide an overview of Agentless Discovery along with an overview of the actual setup. Just a couple quick notes. The 30 number is a number in an extreme case where we don't anticipate any customer needing 30. There's always the exception. But for most customers, they'll need at least one at a minimum, one scanner, and some may need up to 2, 3, 4, or 5 at most. So the next step is to install your scanner. So depending on where you want to install the scanner, again for the EAP testing, you'll need it to install at least on one device, whether it be a workstation, laptop, or server. It doesn't have to be any kind of high-end kind of device or a dedicated device. You can see you can install it on a Windows or Linux 32 or 64-bit operating system. I'm going to copy the URL for the 64-bit Windows. And what I do, and it's just your personal preference, I use a remote desktop connection utility that's provided by Windows, and I've just navigated to the device that I'm going to install the scanner, and I'm going to copy that URL and I'm going to run that. And the one thing you'll notice is that it's going to prompt you for an ID and password, and the ID and password for the EAP program is going to be your org ID. So I'm going to copy my org ID into my ID and my password. A future enhancement planned prior to going GA is that we're going to give the administrator the ability to define the password But again, now for the EAP program and for the testing, just copy and paste your org ID. This will ensure that the proper scanner is downloaded and will establish a connection back to the discovery server that we've already assigned the provision. So we're going to save that. And you can see this takes just a minute to download. All right, the file's been downloaded, so we're going to take a look at that file. And you'll want to run the scanner install. You'll see I have an install executable. You also can download that. For your sandbox, you can uninstall after you're done using the sandbox, or you can just refresh the sandbox, up to you. But the point is there's an uninstall, so when you're in production or in a testing environment and you want to move a scanner or remove a scanner, you can run that install. So we're going to run the install, and you're going to see here it only takes a few seconds. All right, Agent has been installed successfully. Okay, so we've installed the scanner on our on-premise network. So we're going to go back to the Remedyforce admin screen. And there's a second tab here, which is called Scan Configurations. If I click on that tab, it's going to allow me to see any configurations that I have installed. And you'll see right now it says no scanners are rolled out yet. After the rollout, click refresh. So within a matter of a few seconds, I think it takes maybe 5 to 10 seconds, you'll see I now can see that scanner that I just installed. You can see the status is not configured, which is what I would expect. And now I have the ability to configure the scanner. You can have multiple scanners listed here, and when you select each row, it will allow you to configure the scanner down below. You can define the different devices or platforms you want to discover. For now, for my testing, I'm just going to discover some Windows devices. You can select the platform and then enter the credentials that you want to include. And then you can also identify the different domains, a target list. So those could include the IP ranges, domain names, or device names. You can identify what you want to include, and you can also identify what you want to exclude. And then lastly, you have the ability to identify the schedule. And you have the option to do not scan, which could be the case where you're initially creating the scanner and you don't want to run it just yet. You can also say run it just one time, or you can define a recurrence. So this could be the frequency, the frequency, whether it be daily, weekly, monthly, the time you want to run it. This is all your local time, so you can specify off hours, for example. If you want to start it immediately or at a specific date and time, and you can also identify when you want to end it. So very similar to maybe recurring meetings in Outlook, you can be very precise as to the schedule for running each individual scanner. Because of security purposes, in my testing here, I'm actually running this within my network, so I'm not going to be able to demo and show you the specific IP ranges credentials that are sensitive to the BMC network. So I'm going to pause this, go through and set this up, and then I'll jump right back and we'll continue with the demonstration. Okay, I'm back. Now what I'm going to do is I've defined my configuration. I'm going to save that, and you'll see the status change to assignment paused. And just within a matter of a few seconds, I just picked, I think, 4 or 5 different devices that I want to scan, all Windows devices. We're going to refresh, and you can see assignment waiting. So it steps you through the various stages. There's more detail in the online help with the exact stages. In most cases, when you're going to run this, you're not going to see all the stages because you're not going to sit here and monitor. But for demo purposes, I'm just going to hit the refresh a few times so you can see the various statuses and how they change. Now we're at execution schedule. You can see it gives you last scan date just to let you know that it's current. And eventually here it's going to tell us that it is executing. And once the scanner is done, you'll see the status of executed. You can click on View Details to view the status of the devices that were scanned. You can see in this case I just scanned 4 devices. It'll give you a visual. In this case here, you can see a number of the scans were successful. For this one that has a device name of DC1, I must have had the wrong credentials. And it's nice, this is just a visual for the various protocols that are applicable. Once you see that it's done, in this case here, it gives you a status summary for done. Number of unreachable were 0, initial 0, and number of progress 0. So I know I'm done. I can go over to my import configurations, which is the last step, and I can identify which classes I want to import. The BMC computer system is the core class, the default class that will always be selected to import the data, which will include the majority of devices. You can select other out-of-the-box classes, and you can define the frequency for how often you want to update the discovery data and pass it into the Remedyforce CMDB. I have it set to every 5 minutes, just in the extreme case for demo purposes. By default, the value will be every 24 hours. And you'll want to hit the start button. Right now it says stop because I had already started this, but you'll hit this button here to make sure that it's running. Once you're running, you've got the end-to-end agentless discovery set up. As an end result, if you navigate over to the CMDB, you will see all the devices that were imported. And you'll see a few more than I was just showing because I've been testing this and I have a few more other devices in here. And you also see a couple little issues under description. You'll see some comma values, and those will be fixed prior to going GA. And they may even be fixed during the EAP program. But there are a few glitches. If you guys find any issues with the data, please let us know. And that's the end of the demo on setting up agentless discovery. As mentioned, there will be a separate video on how you can leverage this data once it is in the Remedyforce solution. Thank you very much.